So let me tell you a story from 2016. At the time, I just started learning how to code and I was just covering the basics. I was also working a full-time barista job, and sometimes I was pulling 10, maybe 12-hour shifts because I had to cover someone. This whole career change thing wasn't an easy fit for me. On top of that, whenever I was getting home after work tired, absolutely destroyed and smashed, my buddy used to come, knock on the door and come in with a little, not little, actually huge bag of weed, and he was trying to persuade me to actually smoke with him, spend the next 4 or 5 hours playing FIFA with him, being jacked up on weed. That's the moment when I realized I have to change something. I was trying to study a book called Eloquent JavaScript. Probably you heard of it. It's like very popular, at least back in the day, everyone used to recommend it. And I remember I opened that book. It was actually, I don't know why I'm holding this. It was a PDF, right? And I was reading this PDF and I was trying to focus so much after smoking continuously for 2 hours. And my brain completely shut off, and then I literally fell with my head on the keyboard. That moment, that made me realize I need to make some changes, otherwise this career that I was fighting for will never ever happen. Like, if you are in this game to make a career change because you want to work remotely, you want to make more money, whatever other interest you have, maybe pay off your mom's mortgage, your own mortgage, maybe you want to afford a better lifestyle for your kids, maybe you want to get a car, and you need money for all that shit, right? If you are in this game to make this career change, you need to make some changes. Right? I was probably in the worst situation possible. I had long hour shifts. I had this friend of mine that used to persuade me to smoke weed with him, and he was addicted to playing video games. Well, if I made it, then you can also make it. And I'm gonna share with you 5 things that will actually change the game for it. Let's get into it. The first thing probably you have realized is that you have to remove certain people or certain activities from your life. This is very important in my opinion. Most of the times, if you are trying to learn how to code, you are adding a new thing to your life, a new stress really. The last thing that you want to do is to have more stress in your life. So what I did with my buddy was setting some boundaries, and I told him, like, bro, we cannot do this. At least you have to wait for me to finish my studies, to accomplish my goals, to accomplish my tasks, to do my thing, and then you can come in and you can mess around and we can play FIFA and whatnot. If you're in this situation where you have people that are pulling you left and right to do certain activities with them, maybe you have a partner that you have to discuss with and say, hey, this thing is actually important for me and I actually want to make it happen and don't want to waste my time. And this sounds like a big deal, because at the end of the day, it is a big deal. For me personally, when I was learning to code, that was like my entire mission for that year, because otherwise I had to go back to Romania, go back to law school, otherwise I would be a failure, right? So for me, getting this job, learning this skill was the highest priority. I had huge stakes in it. If you are interested in learning code and making this career change, I highly recommend you to take some sort of inventory of what you're doing every day, how are you spending your time, with whom you're spending your time, and maybe put some people on pause. If those people are gonna hate you because of that, then they are not your real friends, they are not your cheerleaders. The next thing was to make coding a priority. Like, coding was priority number 1. Everything else in my life was built around supporting this activity. So for example, I was a barista, right? And the only reason why I was a barista was to support this career change, right? Because I was able to pay my rent, food, etc., etc. I was surviving because of that job. But the main thing was coding, okay? I quit going to the gym, I quit going boxing, I quit dating, I quit all this stuff. The main thing, the main priority, the thing that I was supposed to invest all my time and energy was coding, right? So I see a lot of people that are coming, for example, in my mentorship program, that they are half-assing it because they are not making it their number 1 priority. It's not a life or death kind of scenario. And I know it sounds extreme, it's just a career change, but this career change really will change your life. It changed mine, right? Because if I would not be a developer, I would not be able to, first of all, speak in front of you, not listen to me, you will not take my advice. I would not be able to travel in all these places. I would not be able to meet all these people. I would not be able to experience the things that I'm experiencing. If you don't do it now and you decide to come back to it 5 years into the future, trust me, it's gonna be even more difficult than it is right now. The next thing that I want to talk about, it's diet and health. I've discovered this recently actually. So maybe 6 weeks ago, I fell into this rut, okay? And whenever I feel sad or like depressed or annoyed or stressed, my main cope is food, right? I'm a binge eater, I think that's how it's called. That's my main problem, I would say. So whenever I binge eat, I eat like a lot of chocolate, I eat like pizzas, you know, I'm absolutely disgusted of myself when I do that, but that's my thing, right? I binge eat. And then I remember vividly this moment where I kept doing that for like 3 or 4 days in a row. One day I woke up with a massive, terrible headache, and it was like I was living in a fog. I couldn't think clearly, I couldn't feel anything, I had no passion for life, I had no passion for making stuff, right? I had no passion for being creative, and all these things are important. If you want to make a career change, you have to be thinking clearly all the freaking time, okay? So then I realized that food actually screwed me over. My advice for you, if you want to be as efficient as possible in this career change, is to actually change your diet and become healthier. If you learn how to cook the healthy food, trust me, you'll feel so much better. And when you come home, instead of being like tired and lethargic and have no passion for life, you'll be like sharp, you'll be on it. I didn't give up working out either. So what I used to do was, whenever I was waking up, I used to do 100 push-ups. So I was doing like 5 sets of 20 reps. I built it up to that point. And then at night, I used to do another 100 reps. So I was doing 200 reps, 200 push-ups every single day. And I used to have like a notebook like this, right? And every day I was writing 100, 100, 100, and I had a streak, right? That kept me in shape, that kept me going. My diet was so-so. It was horrible compared with what I'm eating right now, right? But this actually helped me because not only I was learning how to code, I had another thing that I was working on, which was my health, right? So I had 2 goals at the same time. And whenever the coding stuff wasn't going well, which was pretty much every single day, at least the health stuff was going on as well. Because I don't know if you noticed, but whenever you are learning something new like coding, you start to associate yourself 100% with that thing, right? And then when something doesn't work out well with your coding life, you start to feel like a failure, you start to feel like, you know, you are worthless and whatnot, right? You take it personally. But in fact, that's how skill acquisition works. If you have another thing that you are working on, then you'll not be one-dimensional, if that makes sense. So if you have like a goal like making 10,000 steps a day, you can use that time to actually listen to some podcasts or something like that. Or do your 100 push-ups in the morning, 100 push-ups in the evening. Maybe you can add some sit-ups or like squats and whatnot, pull-ups, some other goal that is not coding related. Now, another thing that actually helped me out to make this career change as fast as possible in my spare time was to eat the frog as soon as possible. So let me tell you a little analogy so you can understand. Let's say you have a big fat chocolate cake and then you have a frog. You have to eat the frog and the chocolate cake. Would you like to eat the frog after you eat the chocolate cake? Because you will be eating the chocolate cake thinking like, fuck, I need to eat that frog after. You won't even enjoy it that much, right? You'll actually hate every single bite of that cake. But if you eat the frog first, you're gonna get it done quickly and then you can enjoy the actual chocolate cake, right? So what does that mean is that you have to do the work as fast as possible. The moment I entered the house, the moment I entered my room, I was turning on my laptop and then I went straight to CodePen or whatever other editor I was using, and I went straight to work. No delays, no eating, no going to the toilet, nothing. I was feeling good for the rest of the day, knowing that I've done the hard part first, and then whatever comes after is just a bonus. And the next thing that I noted here on my paper is to play games. One of the things that I want you to do is to set unreasonable, reasonable goals. So what does that mean? Let's say an unreasonable goal is to learn how to code and get a job in 1 month. That's totally unreasonable. But to learn how to code and get a job in 1 year, that's reasonably unreasonable. It's difficult, it's not impossible. There is a possibility that this might work. If you set goals that are too easy for yourself, you won't want to achieve them. Like, people want challenges, like you thrive on challenges. If you're not being challenged, you feel like shit. Probably that's why I want to change careers, because you're not challenged enough. You want to find a new field where you're constantly pushed, where you have to learn new things. When you set reasonable goals, you get yourself into that mode of let me do the work, let me get better, right? And then you also need to set goals in time frames and try to crush it. So for example, if you have your course, I don't know, probably you have a course, right? Set limits, like for example, in 1 month, I want to be extremely good at HTML. And then you figure out what does it mean to be extremely good at HTML, and then you break that down into action points for each week. And then every week you want to tick off boxes, right? You want to create targets, like by the end of this month, I want to build the Apple website. You can check out the free course I posted here on YouTube. Watch that, apply the knowledge, and get it done. Then next month, I want to learn the fundamentals of JavaScript. Okay, what are the fundamentals? And then you start learning that you have to deal with arrays, objects, other data types, if statements, loops, functions, etc., etc. Break down everything into small steps, and then just go for it. This is gonna help you massively. Otherwise, if you have no goal, if you have no deadline for getting that job, for finishing that project, you'll be lurking around forever. And the last thing that I want from you is to lurk around forever. If you eat shitty food, if you don't sleep, if you're not exercising, if you're not saying no to people, you know, if you don't set goals, if you have no deadlines, you'll not make it, because there is another guy out there or girl that has all these things and is doing the work. Maybe they don't even realize it, but they had this this framework instilled in them from high school, for example, from when they were younger, from their parents. Maybe you don't have it, like I didn't have it, right? I had to learn this myself, and I think if you implement these things, you'll have a massive advantage in your journey of making this career change as fast and as efficient as possible. So that's pretty much the video. If you have any comments related to this topic, leave them underneath this video in the comments. And if you're interested in checking out my mentorship program and how I deal with things, apply via the first link in the description. So what's different in my mentorship program compared with other boot camps, or like what other self-taught programs are doing, is that at the end of this program, you'll have in your resume a company, like a legit company, and you won't be dealing with a portfolio and whatnot. So the strategy is to make you look like you are changing jobs, like you had your first job, you were there for 1 or 2 years, and then you're going into your second job, right? So we are avoiding the unnecessary rejections because you're a junior, okay? So that's kind of how it works. Anyway, more details when you click on that website and if you apply for a call with us. And if you want to check out the program before you join, that's the second link in the description. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.